Hello there, welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about my recent tournament experience at Battlefield 2276 or whatever it was over in not Daventry, it's somewhere near Daventry. Is it? No, it is in Daventry, sorry, somewhere near Northampton. Anyway, I took Kemri. My list was basically Tomb Queen, High Queen Khalida, who was on Zombie. No, not they're not called Zombie Dragons, are they? They're called something Bone, something Undead Dragon thing. Anyway, Necrolith Bone Dragon, I think. And she had the Armour of Ages, obviously, and the Talisman of Protection, and a great weapon. And then there were lots of about how much is it? 19 skeleton skirmishers in a unit of 7, 7, and 5, 3 units of 5 horses, a couple of catapults, 6 Ushabti with bows, and then I had my Hierophant, which was a Lich Priest, level 4 on foot, and a BSB. And basically the Lich Priest and BSB, as you can see here, hang about with this big unit of 32 skeletons, and everything else just kind of forms screens. And the standout piece from the whole weekend was probably the Necrolith Bone Dragon and this little block here. Everything else was pretty much a waste of points. Didn't really do a lot other than just sort of get in the way, which was kind of its job, but it also, as you'll see later, they got in the way in a kind of bad way as well. So anyway, this was my first opponent, was a chap called Sava B, and he had brought some chaos. This was a tournament where everything didn't have to be painted, so you can see I haven't quite finished basing anything, and I haven't really touched anything up. It's just got colours on at the moment. Apart from the Lich Priest, which is literally just has a wash of Seraphim Sepia, as does my Necrotect. Sorry, I've got a Necrotect as well. The Necrotect has got the Amulet of the Serpent or whatever it's called, which means the whole unit gets poisoned attacks, which I forgot for this entire game, but I don't think it really made... Oh, sorry, not for the entire game. I remembered about halfway through. So Sava B has a Chaos Lord on a dragon. There was also, in this tournament, there was a limit of 3 Wailing Dirges, which I think was quite good. And there was a limit of no character could cost more than, I think, 550 points was like the point cap for a single character. So you couldn't take like your mega Chaos Dragon with like 700 or 800 points. So this Chaos Dragon had a bit of defensive stuff. I think it had the Crown of Regeneration, and which I had to remind him about a couple of times, and something else. There's a Gorby's Chariot, just a bog standard Gorby's Chariot. We forgot about it. Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk about it in a minute. There's 2 units of 5 Marauder Horse with flails. They're just undivided. There's a Sorcerer Lord, level 4. There's a Spawn that was probably his man of the match. And then some Marauders over here, which I think are corn marked with flails. These are a unit of 5 Chosen Knights of Corn, so really, really impactful. And I basically levelled all of this. So this was a flank attack. So this is my flank force, and that was his flank force. Now, you know, I put my flank force down here. You know, it would have been better if it was the opposite corner to his, obviously, because then I could have sent the Necrolith off against the flank force, and I think that would have just about been able to tank all that. And as it turned out, it worked out much better for me. Hold on, how do I? Yeah, so basically, I think I got the first turn here. Yeah, I must have done, because I've moved. Oh no, because yeah, I did. I forgot as well when I was deploying that it was the cavalry that have scouts, and these that I have vanguard, which it was a bit annoying really. So I did use the vanguard a little bit, and then I moved all these out. I did the reserve move spell, which the Lich Priest has, which basically gives him an 8-inch bubble, and everything within that gets reserve move, which is how the Necrolith went from... I deployed it here, but it went over there because I sort of moved once and then twice with it to get it all the way, pardon me, all the way over there. So anyway, yeah, that's that. Then what happened? This is just me showing moving it. There's his. There's the thing that I'm worried about. Oh yeah, I killed one of his knights with a stone thrower with a thingy. These catapults were, although they look cool and on paper they're great, in reality awful. Don't take them. They're just absolutely useless. They did absolutely nothing all weekend. I continually cocked up what I was doing with these Ushabti with great bows. I totally wasted them. Didn't get the best use out of them all weekend, which is, I mean, I got 3 wins, but I'll talk about that, why that happened at the end. I don't think I deserve 3 wins, but anyway. So, so here's his sort of first move. He gave them fly 12 and bin them forwards. Then he sort of moved everything around so that I couldn't charge the Necrolith into something next turn, which was smart. Then I put up these 2 Tomb Scorpions. So one sort of got ambushes and the other one I used the leadership test to kind of deploy it there. So they both moved there as a screen against these, just hoping that like I could kill a couple. I didn't really have anything else to block them, so that was it really. That was the choice. What I should have done is I should have been much smarter. Put one here with the leadership ability. I could just about squeeze it in there, which I think I did in the end, and then moved it over there. But what I should have done is kind of move it here to kind of threaten the flank of these and get out, and then put this one so it was angled off the table, because these are frenzied, so they'd have to go off the table. So the next turn they can't do anything, so they're just wasted. That was a tactical error. Then over on this right flank, I started to ping these down, started to shoot stuff with all these little bow attacks. Don't know why I'm taking a picture of that. This was his round of combat. So basically what happened was these charged into these and obviously destroyed them. I'd already put down this template here, which is a spell which turns it into dangerous terrain, which means if this unit decides to overrun to get into combat with that, all of them have to take dangerous terrain checks. So, as you can see, actually, that killed 3 of them, I think. Yep, 3 of them, I think. And this was after the first round of combat res. Don't know what those dice signify, to be honest. I think that means it was like a dead draw, I think. So nothing happened, nobody moved anywhere, which was quite good for him. This was my second shot with this catapult. First round it misfired and couldn't shoot that round. This round it misfired and then I rolled a 1. So it just destroyed itself. So this one was absolutely a waste of 130 points. So if I was going to do this again, I'd get rid of the 2 catapults. I'd definitely bring in a Casket of Souls, because they're just, I mean, on paper they're great, but like giving everything -1 to hit would have been so useful all weekend. So yeah, maybe even double casket and reduce some stuff on the characters. Then he charged his lord into my big block of spears. He was sort of 50-50 whether he was in the front arc or the side arc. So we played the rule of, whichever's the least advantageous. The Ushabti with great bows have been charged by these Cornate Marauders at this stage. The Knights were sort of overrun again. One turn they just wiped out both of those Scorpions. Absolutely stood no chance. And then oh no, that's not true. He killed one of them, and the other one had a couple of wounds left. And attacked back, and I think I hit with all 4 hits, and then decided to roll no 6s, and indeed I don't think I rolled a successful wound. So that's the swinginess of Killing Blow. I was just hoping for like 1 or maybe if I was super lucky 2 Killing Blows, so I'd actually just be able to kill one and just whittle them down over time. But no, and maybe even stay in combat for an extra round. But no, combat res killed off the other one. Over here, the spawn has. The chariot tried to flank charge this unit, but failed its fear test. It was undivided. It failed it twice. Oh yeah, the other thing that happened in the second turn was I failed my Arise, my Resurrect ability. Luckily, I've got the Canopy that allows me to do it twice, once per game, so I did it twice to get just one Resurrect off on the skeletons. I think that was the only one all game, if I'm being honest. But anyway, there's spawn flank charge them. These Marauder Cav had been doing a whole load of work, getting rid of these skeleton horse archers and coming back for these. My dragon at this stage hasn't really done anything, I don't think. It's just like it charged and killed something. I think it was those other 3 Marauder Cav, and then reformed to face, which was that was a super important move. Oh yeah, this was his hit dice. I think he needed 4s. I can't remember what it was for, but yeah, I just thought that was an example of really terrible dice by Sava. This was my dice when I was rolling to hit against his unit of Nurgle warriors. I needed 5s and 6s of poisoned, and because of hatred, they got to re-roll failed hits, and this is still what I got, which is incredible. So, but yeah, so basically what happened was, I forgot, I'm not very good at taking, I need to get better at taking more pictures, but anyway, what happened, I'm pointing at the screen, what happened was my dragon charged his dragon in the rear. First round of combat was a bit of a draw, second round of combat I won. This unit was bigger, so the dragon had to flee through my dragon, so ended up like literally just behind my dragon's base, so my pursuit move was more than enough to kill it. So I charged in, there was a bit of a stalemate. This spawn had already killed those, turned around and got into the flank of my dragon. I actually had a good round of combat in terms of hits, so I killed quite a few Nurgle warriors, but still nothing broke. Then in my next turn, I killed a few more of these Chaos Warriors, and these 2 were challenged out, so they couldn't do anything. And yeah, so that they both ended up breaking. So I think there was the dragon and 3 of these against about 25, 30 of them, and unit strength. So my unit strength was something like 35, I think, and his total unit strength was something like 12 or something. So like I more than double outnumbered him. Blah blah blah. I had to flee. So yeah, that was that game. I ended up winning it. I didn't expect to win it, but it was me killing his dragon in the end. It was that rear charge that more or less did it. The Ushabti I didn't get points value for, but you know, there's a theme there. These were some of the armies that were on display. This was a really nice. I did try to get the players' name tags, but obviously this one's not showing very well. This was a really nice Beastman army where he's used, I think these are supposed to be Razor Gores in game, where he's used these models from Necromunda, which are pretty cool. They kind of fit the theme really. I quite like it. It's a really nice army. And then he's used like the Wildebeest model for something or other. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but yeah, it's a pretty cool army. This was Andy. He won Best Painted. You can't see it from here, but he's like, all that heraldry, they're not transfers. They're all painted on. It was just fantastic. He won Best Painted Army, obviously. This one I thought was super cool. These are like a different range of miniatures, the guy was telling me. But it's like, you know, they're all on crocodiles and crabs and stuff, and there's some like shark ogre things over there. So it's a pretty cool army. Oh, there's the crab. It's great. I love that model. Pardon me. This was Alex's Alex Hamilton's dwarf army. I can say his name because it's on the thing and I can see it. That was really nice. I love the basing scheme. It's very, very, very dwarfy. It felt like, yeah, it was really nice. It felt really substantial. Do you know what I mean? This was a high elf army that I thought was quite cool. You know, it's not a great list, but it's, you know, it's quite interesting. Double dragon, and yeah, I like the snow basing and like the frosty sort of element of it. It feels quite interesting. This was another Chaos army, that was Chaos Warrior army, which I saw, which I thought was pretty interesting. It feels like there's something missing, doesn't it? thought he had... Oh yes, because he's got one Knight of Khorne, one Knights of Nurgle, Warhounds, and then the Flaily guys, and then the rest of it is like special and rare. So this was my game 2 against his name's just Jeff, who had a Vampire Counts list, which was horrible to play against, and I'm sure mine was also horrible for him to play against. So again, I thought I'd done everything right in terms of deployment, because I've set up essentially so that this can go on a flank charge and clear off the flank before moving in. And I've got plenty of screens to make sure that I do get some decent charges off with this. I've also deployed this as well to try and get some decent charges off with that. Tomb Scorpions I'm finding are super interesting. Like, it's very... I don't quite know how to use them yet. I think I used them poorly, because I tried to get them to kill off like small units. That worked really well in game 3, but like in general didn't work because they're not reliable enough, if that makes sense. They are very swingy, so you do need to really kind of leave them to be a bit of a counterpunch to protect the flanks of the skeleton warriors when they get flank charged. I think that's their role really. But and I put these here in my lone use of scouts, just to sort of be annoying and make you make a decision really. So yeah, but I'd arrange these bows and all the crossbows over at this, so all of them can see that. So it should be one turn of shooting, right? So yeah, this is him adding more zombies, as he did at the start of the game. Then he did his scream at this unit of skeleton archers down here and killed 5 or 6, because they've only got leadership like 4 normally. So, you know, I rolled an 8, so 1 survived, which turned out to be a terrible for me. I'd wish it had dead. But anyway, as we can see in a minute, 1 round of shooting, an entire round of shooting. My Ushabti, I think 4 of them missed. And I think this is why I didn't think through what happened later. So then I kind of summoned this here using the leadership ability thing and just kind of got it to angle away from the war machines, which was a terrible mistake in the end, because you know, I kept using my Ushabti to protect the war machines, but I should have done the other. Should have done it the other way around, because keeping the Ushabti firing is way more important than keeping a war machine up and running. So that was a terrible mistake. So anyway, so I put these to yeah, and that was a massive cock up, because basically when he charges this, which is something I forgot, what should happen is he charges this. That then ranks up with him, and he's got to move in a straight line for a charge, so he's got to go there. So what I should have done is move it like over here. So if he decided to charge that, then he charges that, but he overruns over here, so I get another round of shooting. Or he can choose to charge that, but then I get to stand and shoot, and that's just like another round of shooting. And you know, that really should get rid of the last 3 wounds, or at least get it within range of dying, like 1 wound left. So if I'd have done that, they'd have shot it, maybe done another 2. But then in combat, they've got so many attacks against it that realistically, you just need 1 to go through. And I think I did get 1 through in combat in the end, but as we'll see later. Over here, his wolves and Vargeist were making a bit of a mess. He made a bit of a tactical cock-up here. So I charged the ghouls. We had a weird rules thing here at this point. So I charged these, I think it was... Had I already killed those ghouls? Yeah, I'd already killed those ghouls. I can't remember what to, but he charged the Vargeist into these skeletons, which is how they come to find themselves here. These wolves had gone into... So those Vargeist charged those wolves charged those skeletons to sort of get them out of the way of this charge. Which I was glad for in the end, because, you know, what he really should have done with this thing is just like have the wolves there, the Vargeist there, ghouls, all this, like just set up 5 or 6 rows of stuff for me to chew through, but like gradually redirect me away from the battle, as it were. and then constantly had this banshee near it, just screaming at it all the time. And I think he would have won had he gone for that kind of tactic. But anyway, I charged these. I think I charged. What did I charge? I think he so those had already moved out of the way, and the ghouls went forward. So I charged the ghouls, and then overran into these ghouls. It wasn't quite enough to take me into the banshee because he moved his banshee up here. I think I was about 1 millimetre out. But the ghouls, because they had to form up like this, they couldn't actually deploy anymore. So they could only form up 2 because the banshee's in the way, so they can't put another model there. So he was pretty much stuck. So basically 6 of them just died because they couldn't be deployed. We called the TO over. We didn't really know how to resolve it. So that was basically, if it can't be deployed, it's gone for whatever reason. It's gone. So that's kind of what happened there. That was a bit unfortunate for him, really. I mean, as it turns out, it wouldn't have made any difference because even if all 10 were there, I'd have killed like 6 or 7, and then the others would have combat rezzed off. But whatever. Yeah. I haven't shown. I've shown what happens here. So this went off the table and came back on. So what happened is he charged into this, obviously, and then obviously he overran into these. Now what I should have done is move them, because you can still move and shoot. Just move them half their distance, so 3 inches to here, which would have maybe taken them out of overrun. I don't know that it would, to be honest, actually. The mistake was putting that there and not here. Just outside his, because if I'd have moved that, because if you draw a line here, right, and if I'd have put the skirmisher here, then he would have had to move outside of, and then move these a little bit as well, then that would have definitely done it. Then he would have had to just charge them straight off the bat. As it turns out, he got an overrun into them, did an absolute buttload of damage, and then... But the other stupid thing I did is this distance here between here is less than 2 inches, so they just got shoved off the table, which meant that they just died in one round of combat, which was absolutely awful from me. Like, this is a 300 and something point unit, that's a 70. So out of his Terrorgeist, he's got like 370, 380 points. So he's done really, really well with that. So yeah, there's this mess over here. That's then come back on the table. Then he decided, because he has to really at this stage, the zombies have to go into these. Now, because of this piece of terrain here, this was pretty crucial to actually my defense, because with this I was able to stop these from coming in. So these are tomb guards, so they're really tanky and actually quite effective. They've got great weapons, so they do a lot of damage as well. And this Terrorgeist as well, he can't get anything onto this flank because this terrain's in the way. So he can't actually complete a charge into this flank. So this is pretty much out of the game now, which, that was my calculation in kind of butting them up to here. So I got them on the hill a little bit. So I put a toe on the hill. So the hill, basically, we're contesting that. The hill's worth 200 points. So he's got to try and clear me off this to get 200 points, right? Somehow. I've put the skirmishers up here, so these can't really do anything this turn, because, again, they have to... So they can't get into this flank and do a load of damage, which is great. The other thing as well, because of how these are formed up, so I overran at the end of my turn, so now it's his turn. So these are formed up, so they can't charge, because they can't wheel through that unit. So, because, you can't move through... you can move through models in... You can actually, couldn't he? Could he? I can't remember, actually. Somebody correct me. Grimgor, where are you? Can you wheel through units when you're making a charge? I think you can, can't you? Now I've said that, I think afterwards we might have Warhammered that wrong. But anyway, so he charged his zombies into my skeletons, which was great news for me, because his zombies could never, ever, ever in a million years kill my skeletons. Not even if he kept rezzing them up to 40, whereas all I have to do is essentially stop him from getting some invocations, and then the skeletons and then the zombies will just die to combat res, because I'm definitely going to kill more than he is. I've got just tons of attacks and I've got the initiative, so just weight of dice will do it. Anyway, So in they go. That's down to 2 wounds. Yeah, because I did do 1 wound in combat. That's exactly what I mean. So, like, had I actually got a stand and shoot off, that would have probably taken the other 2. So it would have died in combat. Yes, it would have killed some Ushabti with great. But if you think, right, how different that battlefield would look with essentially this gone, and then these pointing their bows at that all game. You know, and then these could have taken pot shots at the Banshees that were like this one, because they have magical attacks. So just 1 hit and it's dead. So I'd have been reasonably happy with that. But, you know, had I not cocked up here, this would have been like an absolute... And as we'll see later, it would have been an absolute barnstorming victory for me. But it was very close in the end. So he was massively ahead at this stage. And then the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon like chewed through that unit, moved over here. He got his Banshees within, and he started to get his Screams within range of my Hierophant, because he can still target it with Wailing Dirges. We did get something slightly wrong here, because he Wailing Dirge. Anyway, we'll show that in a minute. So, is this where... Yeah. So this is where he killed me off. Now I left... No, actually, no, we did do this right. I left a line of sight because I have a magic missile that I wanted to get off. Does 5d3 strength... 3d6 strength, 2 hits, no armor saves, which would have easily killed the Banshee. Like, absolutely no problem. But it didn't go off because he's got +1 to dispel. So I didn't get that spell off, and so I have nothing that can really hurt him. He put down this annoying template thing. In my turn, I killed all these and combat res them or whatever, so I overran into his little Necromancer. So this was basically his turn. Now this is where his turn started. There was a lot of screaming that went off. We forgot. So basically, the first one he screamed off was my Hierophant, which was there. I got to re-roll this, obviously, because the BSB allows you to re-roll any tests against leadership. So we re-rolled it, but didn't make any difference. And then we did the roll for the Battle Standard Bearer, and then I thought it was killed, but then I remembered, oh no, hold on a minute, I've got a re-roll, so I re-rolled it and rolled like Snake Eyes. So then that came back, which was lucky for me. Then lots and lots of screaming just happened, really. He didn't get the Terrorgeist into combat at this stage. He just used it to scream stuff off, because it's only got 2 wounds, so it's not got that much defensively. It's got 5 up regen and I think a 5 up armor save, but it's quite flaky. So then basically he screamed off my Hierophant. Then what happens here is I kill that. So in his turn, what I really expected him to do was just fly that over here. Like, just move it out of dodge, because if this overruns into it, then... Or if this gets a charge off, then... You know, and these kill all that, which is conceivable, then that could die. And if that dies, I get the hill and. So, like, I think he left it on there on the off chance that it survived. So, you know, the hill wasn't contested, I think was his tactic. But, like, it did massively backfire, because basically what happened was exactly what I said. The skeletons killed off the zombie. I won that round of combat. It was my combat next, so I tested to reform. So basically what I tried to do was level this up so the front base would just fit nicely into the side of his base. Or at least what he should have done realistically is, like, put this in such a position so that I can't get both of them in. But anyway, what happened was this charged into the flank. These then I activated first to kill off the zombies, because there was only like 8 left. So with combat res, I killed them off. This unit's got the war banner as well, so it's got, you know, and horde obviously. So it's got like it starts off with 5, 6 it's close order as well, 6 combat res. So it's pretty good. So that killed off the zombies. They then overran. We had a bit of an argument, because he said, oh no, because this base is like, because I put it like level with that sort of there, but I couldn't see where the base was. So we sort of agreed that, okay, fine, yeah, that was exactly what would have happened. This is what I mean about tournament etiquette, because it's like, yeah, but I obviously wouldn't point it where I couldn't get both in, because obviously that's my tactic, right? That's what I need to happen. And then basically killing his general, end of the game. The leadership test he rolled on the Terrorgeist was a 12, so that popped at the end of because you have to roll for crumbling at the end of the phase and at the start of every single turn, every single player turn. So I got really lucky with my crumble rolls, to be honest. I think one of these went all the little units by the end, apart from now those two guys had actually gone. So all the little units had gone. These I rolled really lucky with and only lost one. This BSB was, I think, that single model, this thing, is like possibly the most valuable piece in a Tomb King roster because it does so much. It's so good. So anyway, yeah, there we go. And that was a 1,000-point swing in the last round of the game, which meant I ended up winning it because I got like 700 kill points from killing his his left flank with my the dragon. Just absolutely brilliant. And that was me looking at the Terrorgeist that had just gone because he'd rolled a 6. Ha ha ha. And then my third game was against. I'm really sorry, I'm terrible with names. I want to say Alex, but I bet it wasn't. Who came up to me beforehand and said really like the channel and all the rest. So I feel so guilty right now. And we had a good chat all the way through the tournament, and I'm sure it was Alex. Was it? No, Jack. Fucking Alex. Who the fuck is Alex? Jack. Why Alex? I don't know. Jack, Alec, Jack. Anyway, Jack, really nice guy. He had the one list I really, really didn't want to come up against because it's got the Green Knight, and like there is nothing in my army that can deal with the Green Knight. It's just horrendous. I think they cocked up the pairings a little bit because, like, I think not Alex, but Jack said. I think it's probably because I've got a really good friend who's called Alex, and he felt a bit like Jack felt a bit like talking to Alex. So somebody who's also a professional, but also likes the nerdy side of life like me. So anyway, Jack, apologies for being a knob. Anyway, he had the Green Knight, and that's the one thing I didn't want to come up against. However, Jack had only got one win at this point, whereas I'd won 2. So. And I think he said like there were like 5 or 6 people who'd won 2 games. So like those should have been paired off against each other, right? As it stands, the whole tournament ended with 4 people winning 3 games. So even if there were like 5 people winning 3 games, obviously they all get the 2 that have won 2 get paired off against each other, right? So you end up with 2 of them are going to win 3, and then maybe the person who's like 5th ends up playing somebody who's only won 1 game but done quite well, and then they might also have 3 wins. So there should have only been 3 players winning 3 games if it's correct that the previous round there were only 2 that. Now the downside of Best Coast pairings that actually that is better on the other one, New Recruit, is that New Recruit allows you to like look at results by round. So, and the other thing as well, because they wanted to do like some kind of points differential system rather than just doing pure kill points to see who won, and they hadn't set that up on Best Coast pairings. They did say at the end that you need to check that your point system is supported by your platform before you do it, which it isn't. Well, it is actually. It's just you've not done that. But anyway, they had to manually do the rounds, which it was funny because in like round 3 I was paired off against the guy I'd beaten in round 1, so that was a bit kind of, I had to go and ask them to change that. But yeah, apparently there was like 5 or 6 people who'd won 2 games, and we ended up with. So I think they got the pairings wrong a little bit because they were like, all the results are finally on there. Yeah, all the results weren't on there at the end of the thing yesterday, but there ended up being 5 people who didn't win a single game, which suggests to me that they've kind of messed up the pairings a little bit. That's why I said I don't think I deserve 3 wins, because my third game should have been, and no offense to Jack, but it should have been against somebody who's like 1-2, because I suppose the thing was, my games I hadn't won particularly convincingly. I just sort of scraped it at the last minute, so maybe that was right. But if there were 5 winning 2, then there should be down to 3 winning 2, not 4 at the end. Anywho, I'm only salty because I ended up finishing 4th, and I'm like, but I won all my games. How do I not get on the podium at a one-day event? Ridiculous. Anyway, so Jack's got a really cool list. He's gone for Exiles, and he's gone for the Green Knight as well, and he's got a couple of those horrible cannons. They're like the worst. They're the best cannon in the game, like by a country mile. So this was sort of more or less my deployment. Turn 1. Again, I'd cocked up my deployment. I'd forgotten that we'd said this was a natural terrain feature. So he got turn 1 because he can roll for it because he's exiled, so he doesn't care about the blessing. Green Knight obviously pops up here, charges the Ushabti. So I got no value out of them all game other than as a roadblock for the Green Knight, which is fantastic. Had I been a bit more sensible about that, I would have definitely just put these Skeleton Warriors within charge range of that bloody thing. And then the Green Knight would have probably charged into them and lost to combat res. Because, some turns it's not going to do enough wounds to overcome the 6 combat res it has to, So on average it's going to roll like 8 attacks, and then it's going to hit with like 6 of them, and then wound with like 4 of them. So, on an average round he's killing 4 and losing combat by at least 2. So, anyway, so the Green Knight went into the Ushabti with great bows, which basically wasted them all game. Realistically, what I should have done with them, and what I'll probably do in future, is just put them on a flank, and just let them deal with like a unit of cavalry or whatever's coming from there, because they're not terrible in combat actually. The downside that they have is that they don't have anything that helps them for combat res. So I think they are close order. Yeah, they are close order, but still, that's it. They just get +1 for close order, so they're just like a bit. Or maybe breaking it up into 2 blocks of 3. That would probably have been better. I tried that last time, but I didn't get enough hits, I didn't think. So, but it's exactly the same. I don't know why I didn't. I just thought rolling 6 dice at the same time, but then I could have had 6. Or anyway, whatever. Shut up, Dan. So he moved his Pegasus Knights. I'd put another unit. You probably can't see, but I put another unit of cavalry sort of over here on my right flank, just in advance of my dragon. So he charged his Pegasus Knights into that first turn, which was a bit of a mistake, to be honest. Because then what I could do, that's the battlefield next door. Ignore that. That's somebody else's battle. But this is the edge of the battle here. So then what I was able to do was then basically charge in my general. I'd hidden it behind the building so that the cannons couldn't see it. And so this then charged into here, which I'm really glad he put his general on that flank so we could have a general off, because like I was very confident my general could deal with his. He's got the D3 extra attacks and the hatred and all that kind of stuff, but still, I think he's got. Did he have the ogre blade as well? I can't remember, or something. I had the Frontier Axe, didn't he? So he was AP3. Not that I cared, because I've only got light armour because of the Armour of Ages. So the new FAQ rules is that you pick, so whoever's model it is picks which armour save they're going to use. So I could choose to not make him re-roll wound rolls, but then keep my 4-up save, or I could choose to make him re-roll wound rolls and have a 6-up save. So it's one or the other. So you choose whichever's best. But again, the language whichever's best is essentially based on your opinion. So you just choose. I don't know why they put in the words whichever is best. I did have a bit of a rules argument with somebody who said that's how they're ruling it for this tournament, in that you can't use the Armour of Ages on a dragon, basically, because the best armour save is a 4-up, so you can't use that, so you can't reroll wounds. And I'm like, no. He said have a chat with the TO, and I didn't in the end, because I'm like, I just don't want to get into a row with somebody over something that I think is pretty obvious. The other thing as well is there's another Tomb King player with exactly the same loadout on their dragon, and neither of us got pulled up on that when they reviewed the lists. So I'm not going to ask for a judgment on the day that's going to cost me 50 points of magic items, right? Because that would be, especially because I had that chat like after the first game, and I'm like, well, I've already played a game, the other bloke's happy with it, like this is pretty common, like there would be a weird ruling just for this one tournament. But anyway, so I might be a massive cheat, I don't know. According to this TO, but according to the rules as written, it's definitely not meant that way. And the other reason I'd say that, like in terms of like GW's rule writing intentions, is you look at how they've dealt with other stuff, like the bedazzling helm, like it says infantry and cavalry only. That's how they deal with, we don't want this on monsters. They make it infantry or cavalry. They didn't do that with the Armour of Ages, which I was very surprised about. But that to me indicates that what they wanted to do was just tell people, if you do have the Armour of Ages on a bone dragon, you're not allowed to use the 4-up save and make them reroll wounds. You've got to go down to a 6-up to make them reroll wounds. But ultimately, that's your choice, and that's the trade-off. Reroll wounds is mega, though, by the way. Absolutely mega. Like, especially up against stuff like Monster Slayer. Brilliant. So anyway, we had a few rounds of combat, and then eventually I killed his general, and then, whatever. That all died. He charged his peg knights into my horse archers that were there. No? He charged his peg knights into something, I think. And then he charged them into this big unit, hoping that first charge and all the rest, and with all his damage, he'd be able to do enough damage to combat res quite a lot of them down. Enough that now I don't have my double res back, enough that essentially he can start to chew through that big unit. Which, again, was a bit of a tactical blunder. He really should have just gone for those skeleton horsemen to the side, because he's a skirmisher, so he can. Or the skirmishers in front. Which again I deployed badly, because I should have put one of them like here, so when he charges he has to like move in a straight line, and then we rank up to like a fictitious, so essentially I could have blocked him by getting him stuck into that. I think also, like, Pegasus Knights, the one thing that you could do to nerf them is say something like a unit that has skirmish and or close order and or open order. If they win a round of combat and they overrun or whatever, they have to remain in open order or close order and require a full reform in order to move back into skirmish formation, and then they do so by moving the models physically apart, so they are skirmishing. I think skirmishing also needs a rule that you need to move, that the models need to be deployed a bit apart, because rules as written at the moment, you can just rank up a unit of skirmishers and say they're skirmishing. You don't actually have to put them in skirmish formation, like an actual physical skirmish formation, which is a bit weird. But whatever. yeah, so that obviously failed. The Green Knight had started to chip away at the Ushabti. He went for the extra attacks every time, but what he should have done with the Dolorous Blade is going for the high strength, multiple wound attacks, obviously. To be honest, I wish he had, because then the Green Knight would have been free to be shot at. His cannons killed one of my Scream Skull catapults in the first round, and as the Scream Skull catapults had done nothing all game, all tournament, actually, I was quite happy he was wasting cannon shots on catapults, because they're pretty rubbish. Yeah, what was going on here? Oh yeah, this was him miscasting, I think, a spell. Oh no, it wasn't. No, sorry, I tell a lie. This was his leadership role here. So I'd killed his general. Combat res was all mine. Like, all I needed him to do was fail his leadership check, and they'd have fled, and then I'd have caught them and killed them. Didn't happen. So then what I did, you can see in the corner here, I'd done it in one of my turns, is I'd popped up this Scorpion, which got shot at by 2 cannons. Luckily, one of them fucked up and didn't hit it. He didn't roll a single misfire, I think, all game with these, which was pretty astonishing. But anyway, yeah, these both shot at it and took 2 wounds off. So when he got to roll the D3 plus 1 wounds, he rolled a 1, so it ended up doing 2. So then I charged his first cannon, did almost nothing, killed 1 crew, and luckily they didn't get me back. No, I didn't even kill 1 crew, did I? Sorry, those are my hit rolls. So that went well. Oh yeah, and then that was those are my hit rolls, I think, the next round as well. Oh, here, sorry, yeah. So I charged my other Scorpion in against this unit of 4 knights, hoping to kill like 1 or 2, because statistically I probably should. He's got AP2, right? And he's got no ward saves because he's not got the blessing. But anyway, those are my hit rolls there. So 2 rounds of combat. That's what I rolled. Which was a bit demoralising, if I'm being honest. And then so then my general finally managed to kill that, tested to reform. I killed all of these. So what happened with this combat was eventually I'd ended up killing off the Pegasus Knights, like actually killing them with wounds and stuff. Again, poison attacks were great there. And then his Battle Standard Bearer fled through this unit and died. So fleeing through enemy units, it failed its test and just got caught up and died. But that doesn't count as catching it for the purposes of catching a standard, though, does it? Which was annoying, but anyway. These knights had started to move around the flank of the warriors, and the Green Knight had dispatched basically everything that was over there. So I don't think I recorded that. So what happened was I turned that unit around so that basically they used a reserve move as well. Reserve move spell it's just so good. So I was able to do a full reform and then shuffle them back a little bit. So basically it was in the front arc of both of these units. And then using reserve move, I was able to sort of move these like 4 inches back there and then back around the back. So the Green Knight couldn't get a charge off against either of them. The dragon that you can see just about in the corner here charged into these knights. Also at the top that you can't see is his enchantress. So I charged these knights. He said, I'm going to flee. And I said, well, if you flee, then I'm going to test to redirect against my leadership 10 or whatever it is with a queen, prince, king. And then I'm going to charge that instead. And you can't then flee with that. So I'm doing this to force you to hold with these so I can get closer to over here. In hindsight, that had overrun at this stage, so it was my turn next, so that could then charge into the cannon. We had a bit of a row as to whether he was actually in the front arc. And I'm like, yeah, he definitely is. With hindsight, I should have made it easier and just not use Swift Stride to overrun. I just wanted to get closer to make sure I was in range. And I rolled like an 11 or 12 or something. So that could have been a massive mistake. But anyway, as it turns out, it wasn't. So this was then his Green Knight swinging. So his Green Knight then decided to... So my dragon was over there. I tested to restrain and I moved to one side to make it that he had to get like a 9 or a 10 on his charge dice to actually get to me. He managed to get me and hit me in the flank because I'd reformed around the side because, you know, the middle to the side is a bit shorter. That was another error. I shouldn't have done that. Because in the first round of combat, I'd have won by 1. And he did have wounds. The Green Knight did have wounds on him at this stage. So I should have just turned to face and, you know, whatever. But anyway, he missed all his attacks because he went for the big swingy attacks. The Green Knight's the only character, really, that can actually kill this because I don't have any magical attacks on it. So I'm thinking like Biting Blade in future. Yes, it reduces my strength, but it means that, you know, the general does then have magical attacks and so can deal with something like this. Because if you think, right, if you go back to the start of the battle, and we talked about this afterwards, if he'd have put the Green Knight, put the Green Knight here, and the Green Knight charged into my general, I'd have been stuffed all game. Like, that would have been general basically dead. I was just relying on the Armour of Ages making him re-roll. So those were his first round of hit dice. So that was good for me. As you can see, it's only got 2 wounds left. And then essentially that's how the game played out. These got sort of shot at and attacked and whatever. I think I managed to kill them in the end. I can't remember. Pretty much a few more of these skeletons died. That Team Scorpion ran away. These ran away after a bit round of shooting. They panicked and ran off. And yeah, so they were fled at the end. That was dead. What did he have left? He had the Green... Yeah, I think he just had the Green Knights in this unit. So I got a really stonking like final result. It was a great game, actually. We forgot to include the score of the banners in the end. But I don't think... Because I'd captured 2 at the end. I don't think that would have made any difference. I don't know how they did, like... I think they just did victory points 4. I think, maybe. Or maybe they did their points differential in the back end. Callum, though, like, his results... So, yeah, I'll talk about the other lists and the tournament and stuff in my... I met a couple of other people that like the channel as well, which was pretty cool. Where did he finish up? I can't find. Where's Jack finish up? Yeah, there he is. 15th. I guess like in his first game he got like a 2-150, whereas in my first game I got a 1290, then I got a 1760, and then I got a 1770. Yeah, should have been 1870, but whatever. It can't. It must have been. They must have done it on. Hold on, because 8. So Callum got 2,400 in his first game, so absolutely like dominated. He got 1170 in the second game, so that was obviously tighter. And the third game got 2299, which is weird because normally games get tighter as you go on. And in the third game, he played Robert Griffiths, who were Dark Elves. Fucking Best Coast Bearings is not the best for like. This is really boring, I know. Robert Griffiths. Round 2 isn't loading now, obviously. Why would I want it to do the thing that I want it to do? Was Robert on 2 wins then? Robert had won his second game. Oh, I got 2261 against Empire. And then he was playing with Dark Elves though. And then Robert, presumably he won his first game as well. Okay, so yeah, he did win 2 games, so he was on 2 wins. Yeah. Alex Hamilton Dwarves. So Dwarves. So the top guy was playing Alex Hamilton, who'd lost both his other games. Yeah, I'm not sure what's gone on here. Oh no, he was playing Mark. Hold on, what's Callum? Yeah, so Callum was playing Robert, who'd won 2 games. Adrian Vishoki with Warriors of Chaos in the last game was playing John Barr with Kingdom. Oh my goodness, that was close. 1355 to 1164. Wow. Sorry, who was he up against? See what I'm like with names? They just fall out of my head pretty much straight away. John Barr. So John Barr in round 2 had won that very convincingly and won the first game. Okay, so there must have been more the people who'd won 2 games. There must have been quite a lot of people who'd won 2 games. I was just bottom of all of them, and I think what this shows, and looking at the results and these battles, like I made some pretty massive cock-ups. Like, do you know what? Actually, I'd have been better off with Tomb Swarms than Ushabti with Great Bows. Because literally all they did all weekend is just put 2 wounds. They put 2 wounds on a Terrorgeist, and they put... I think they killed a knight at some point. I think a Chaos Knight. No, they didn't kill a Chaos Knight. I think they killed a couple of Chaos Warriors because there was nothing else in range to shoot. And that's all they did all weekend. So... And I think part of the problem was I had too many screens, and the screens just got in the way of my own shooting instead of getting in the way of theirs, and there just wasn't enough room on the tabletop to do stuff with. These were a total waste of points. The Screaming Skull catapults, absolute mega waste of points. I would have been definitely better off with but then again, I say that, but that would have died first turn from cannon fire probably, because I don't think the stats are, ultimately that good, are they? So let's just do a quick what I would do. Yeah, luckily the ones with the Skulls of the Fallen survived every game. And it was the one with the beards. So I don't know if you can see on the models, but this one, the beards both got, ripped off when I was making the models, and this one, the beards have stayed on. So that's how I've denoted that. Anyway, get rid of those. Probably get rid of that unit of skirmishers. Oh no, because then... Can I make that a 10? Can I make that a 10? I'm really tempted to give them ambushes, actually, because I think them coming on behind the cannons, but they can only shoot the bloody cannons, can't they? They can't shoot the crew. So, it's debatable whether that would be any good at all. The chariot... Oh, that was the other thing I was going to do. No, I don't need to do that at all. Because one of the things I found was that I just lacked a bit of punch, to be honest. So I'm going to get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a unit of skeleton chariots in. There we go. Like that. I think a little unit of chariots would have made a lot of difference, actually, because that would have been pretty good. And then, do I give it the Icon of Rakaf? I think Mirage Banner, actually, if I'm going to do anything. Anyway, so we'll figure that kind of stuff out later. So I needed a unit of chariots, and that pays the core tax. The Tomb Scorpions I misused. I don't think they're bad. I just think I misused them. I definitely would want one of these. Now, the question is, do I really need the Necrotect? Was it really actually that useful? It got me a lot of attacks in a few key moments. So I guess it was actually. That was pretty useful. The poisoned attacks and the extra attack was actually pretty good when they got to use it. So against the zombies who are initiative 1, absolutely brilliant. against other stuff. Not so good. It was really useful against the Pegasus Knights as well. But like a good opponent isn't going to charge the front of a massive unit of skeleton warriors that's got a level 4 Hierophant stood behind it, because like what's the point? You're just not going to get anywhere. Kill everything else and surround it and then hit it really hard on all sides, and then you've got like the Chaos dude. I'll just go, are these my pictures? Like if I'd go all the way back to the Chaos dude, which was my first game, you know, rather than, where was he before? Have we got a picture of his, where his stuff is? Where's his lord gone? So basically, his lord was like stood there a couple of turns ago. So what it really should have done is, because these were engaged in the front, he should have moved it here, pointed it at the flank. Yes, taken a few more shots, but like it can withstand taking a few more shots, and then he can hammer it in the flank, and then my dragon would have only been able to hit it like in the flank. And so yeah, eventually he would have lost that round of combat, but then he would have got to flee that way, which would have made the flee roll actually matter, because he rolled like a 10 and I rolled a 5. So even if like I'd been really clever and like put myself so I'm like really far over on this, I mean, I've had to go through a spawn as well to get there, remember? So he would have had stood much more of a chance of burning this unit down. He could have won just based on that alone. But yeah, people really don't know how to handle a dragon, which I think is interesting, because you've got to combat res it. That's the only way to beat them. Like they're normally really, really super tough. So you've got to have a few units in place, or like I said here against not Alex. Why haven't I got Alex on the brain? Jeff, like against Jeff. If he'd have like set up this unit here, then set up like a series of units here, so he could like hit it. You know, these should have quite. I mean, the other thing he should have done, which he said himself, was that these should have really just chewed through all of that, and then come into the rear. Because then what happened was here, he decided to charge these into the rear of my dragon at that point, rather than just take out those horsemen. Because then they were basically they got into combat and then they just died. Like I think the dragon itself just turned around and just swatted them with that massive tail, and they just died. Yeah, and the stomps killed these guys. You know, it was pretty brutal, really. He really shouldn't have done that. But you know, you live and learn, don't you? But people really don't know how to deal with dragons. And the Green Knight is a perfect way of dealing with a dragon, because like it's got a pretty decent profile. So if we have a look at the Green Knight, it's got strength 4, but then it's got the Dolorous Blade, which has 2 profiles, so you can just go deadly blows. So he's now strength 6, AP 1. I thought that was a bit surprising on this attack, but anyway, AP 1 with Armor Bane 1. You know, so he's either strength 4 with D6 extra attacks or strength 6. So, but the other thing is that strength 6 attack, it's like -1 damage. It's -1. Sorry, it's multiple wounds 2 as well. So if one sneaks through, that's doing 2 wounds, which is pretty nasty. Anywho, yeah. So I think this would be a much better list, to be honest. But like I said on my pre-action vid last time, this isn't an optimal list. I know I had too many like skirmishes and stuff. I definitely should have had some chariots to have a bit more of a punch, and to use the bloody chariot runner's special rule that more or less everything has got. So definitely give that to those. Yeah. So basically what that means is that I can charge through them. So these can kind of get in the way and just be a bit annoying, and your opponent then has to charge. So then what you do is you set up your archers like that, and you put your chariot unit there. So he can't charge your chariot unit. He has to charge one, and then, you know, will either overrun, exposing the flank. Because that would have been a perfect way to deal with those core knights, is just set up the 2 things. Well, it would be level with the table like that, and set my chariots up there. So either he charges that one or charges that, because he has to, because he's frenzied. Then he has to overrun. So then I just get a lovely flank charge with my chariots. Brutal and brilliant. So that's what I should have done. That would have been a much more effective use of stuff. So that's 290 points for essentially not dominating a flank, but standing a really good chance of doing something decent. Because the other thing as well, like 3 chariots into the side of a unit of 5 knights, you know, unless they get full back in good order, you know, if they're just losing combat by a couple of wounds every turn, they're just going to keep getting pushed to the side. So they're not going to get that many attacks back because they've only got 1 in the fighting rank, if you see what I mean. So, yeah, and then using these skeleton skirmishers to kind of just shield these warriors. 1 for the warriors and 1 for the Ushabti to, you know, allow them to shoot for a bit longer. That would have been, you know, way more. And these are... So that, and the other thing as well with these being scouts is I can put the chariots like on the line and then the scouts ahead of them at the start of the battle. Like, it just gives me so many options. So definitely this is the sort of thing that I do to the list. In fact, I think it's pretty much there, isn't it? Yeah, it is pretty much. What an idiot. The other thing is, like, I should have just bought one of these. Yeah, I think this is a much better. That would be a much better list, and I'd have been much more. And the other thing as well, like that I found, was that having 3 of these and 3 of these, it just meant there was just too much stuff to manage on the table. Like, there was just little bits of stuff everywhere, and I don't like that. I like to have blocks, like little war bands that all do something themselves. So the horse archers and the chariots, that's 1 block. Warriors and skirmishers, another block. Ushabti and other skirmishers, and probably team scorpions, another block. And then so the team scorpions to basically, so the Ushabti draw the charge in and the team scorpions counterpunch. That I think is another block. That's another viable strategy because Ushabti don't all die in 1 turn. They're pretty survivable. You know, they're toughness 4, which is alright, but then they do have heavy armour, they do have 3 wounds each, and they importantly have indomitable 1 and close order. And they have a Kopesh as well, which means these attacks are all AP1. So they've got quite a lot of attacks at AP1. So that's what I should have done. Oh, yeah. And one thing I should definitely do, because it was dumb not to... Oh, 1 point over. It was dumb not to, is... What can I... That shield was invaluable. That saved its life. I guess just give it a hand weapon now. Are there any options that I can get rid of because I don't need? Nope, no, that's it. So yeah, I think that's the list now. I've still not really got anything that can deal with the Green Knight though, have I? I've not fixed that problem. Oh no, I have a little bit because I've got a casket. I just need it out of combat so I can hit it with. No, it's not that, is it? I keep clicking on that one. It's not bloody Covenant of Power, is it? Vortex of Souls, is it? Here we go. Light of Death. D6 plus 3, Strength 6, multiple wounds 2. It's got to take a leadership test, but with Necromancy, there's enough way you can get easily get -3 or 4 to something's leadership. So, you know, doing that, fantastic. Right. I think that's my tournament review over and done with. This video's been an hour long. It's just flown by. I've really enjoyed talking through this. I'm going to do a meta video at some point encompassing the last 2 weekends. I didn't do one the weekend before because there'd only been 2 tournaments, so it didn't feel like I could really record a full video based on that. So there's been a bit more this weekend, and I've got quite a few lists that I want to go through from Battlefield 2276, some of the lists at the bottom as well, just to sort of highlight a few things that you shouldn't be doing. But yeah, I'm reasonably happy with my performance, to be honest. I think I got away with it a bit in the end. And I can't remember who told me there'd been 5 people who won 2 games before the end of... Because from looking at it, it looks like everybody who played in those top 4 games had won 2 games, apart from Jack, who drew against me. Who, to be fair... he played really well, and also to be fair to me, these were the first 3 games I've had with Tomb Kings at 2K. I've had 1 game with them at 1500 against Ogres, which was a local friendly sort of thing. So it wasn't, we were sort of doing it a bit more narratively than just trying to win. But So I think there's things I've learned. There's things I definitely could do better. But like I said at the start of this year, my aim is to take as many factions as possible this year. So I'd like to do another 2 tournaments with another 2 factions. And I think next time it'll be Lizardmen. And I don't know whether I've done this list on here yet. Lizzie's, is it this one? It could be this one, couldn't it? No, this is the one I used for the battle report the other day. No, I don't know. I've obviously done it on my phone, but yeah, I'm getting quite close to a list that I'm happy with there. So, but anyway, but thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful bank holiday Monday if you're watching this on Monday, or you find success in whatever endeavours you decide to pursue, and catch you again soon. Toodaloo.